The guard who murdered your baby stands in the checkout line buying groceries. 15 years since you watched him do it. 15 years since he smiled while your child screamed. He's holding a loaf of bread and reading the price tag. His hands are clean. Hamburg, 1958. Helena's hands shake as she writes down his address. She's a secretary in this city. A war widow, everyone thinks. But tonight, she'll dial a Moscow number from the phone booth on Reeperbahn. By morning, those hands will be broken. The question isn't whether he dies. The question is who kills him first. Berlin burns. May 8, 1945. Red Army soldiers dig through rubble and keep finding graves. Not battlefield graves, execution pits. Women lined up in ditches. Children stacked like firewood. Each discovery is another village that doesn't exist anymore. A Soviet sergeant named Dmitri opens a warehouse near Auschwitz. Inside, he finds 7 tons of human hair, baled and tagged for shipment to German factories. The paperwork is meticulous. Shipment 47, 1,830 kilograms. Source, Treblinka. Destination textile mill, Stuttgart. Stalin issues new orders. The Americans can rebuild Germany. The British can go home. But every SS officer answers for this. Every single one. Major General Viktor Abakumov commands Smersh, death to spies. He raids Nazi headquarters in Berlin while smoke still rises from Hitler's bunker. They find membership files, personnel records, 250,000 names by June, home addresses, photographs, which units they served. Who commanded whom? Abakumov interrogates prisoners for 12 hours without pause. No food, no water, just names. Give me names. Major Anatoly Novikov finds a mass grave outside Minsk. 3,000 bodies in layers. He recognizes his sister's dress. She was 14. That night, he writes to Moscow. Every name we cross off brings relief to our dead. I will not stop until the list is empty. The Soviets lost 27 million people. 1 death every 2 seconds for 4 years straight. Entire cities vanished. In some villages, not one man came home. The Americans want Marshall Plan aid and German cooperation against communism. The British want their soldiers back for tea. But the Soviets want blood. While the West celebrates victory, Soviet hunters spread across occupied Europe, carrying photographs and memorized faces. Here's what makes them different. They don't need trials. They don't collect evidence. They just need names. The SS men aren't stupid. Within days of Hitler's death, they burn uniforms, steal papers from corpses, grow beards, become farmers, mechanics, priests. But truly disappearing requires help. Catholic Bishop Alois Hudal provides that help. He calls it mercy for the defeated. The Vatican gives him rooms, funding, blank passports. The system runs like clockwork. SS officers reach Rome. Hudal hides them in monasteries. He issues Red Cross identity papers with sanitized names. Ships carry them to Argentina. The church pays for everything. They call these routes Ratlines. Soviet agent Pavel Gushin infiltrates a Red Cross camp in Austria. He's playing refugee. Watches SS officers receive new identities. Memorizes faces, false names, destinations. Every night he transmits from a hidden radio in a barn. But the Americans occupy these camps too. And they're not arresting SS men. They're recruiting them. Operation Paperclip. The Americans want German scientists for rockets. SS intelligence officers to spy on Soviets. Over 1,600 Nazis receive American protection. New identities, new lives. Good salaries. Franz Stangl ran Treblinka death camp. He killed 900,000 Jews. The Americans know exactly who he is. But they need his friend's expertise in rocketry. So Stangl walks free. He escapes to Brazil. Ivan Serov, Soviet intelligence chief, sends encrypted messages to all agents. The West has chosen sides. They protect fascists. We are alone in seeking justice. Act accordingly. Soviet agents start dragging SS men across borders at night. No one sees them again. The Soviets realize they need help. They can't watch every port, every border, every monastery. But there are people who will never forget an SS face. People who saw those faces every day in hell. Alexander Pachursky led the only successful death camp uprising. At Sobibor, he helped 300 Jews escape. He killed 11 SS guards with an axe. Now the Soviets give him photographs. Identify every guard who survived. Pachursky never sleeps well. He sees faces when he closes his eyes. But now those nightmares have purpose. He examines thousands of photos. He remembers everything. The guard who loved his dog more than Jewish children. The officer who forced people to sing while digging their own graves. That one. He points. Karl Frenzel. He made my friend carry her dead daughter for 3 hours. He's calling himself Carlos Freeman now, living in Sao Paulo. The Soviets create a new system. Show survivors photographs of suspected SS men. Record every detail. Survivors remember. Scars. Walks with a limp. Missing finger. Stutters when angry. Smell of a specific cigarette brand. But some survivors want more than identification. Nakam. The Hebrew word means vengeance. Jewish partisans who lost everything form this secret group. Their plan is simple. Kill 6 million Germans. 1 for every murdered Jew. Abba Kovner leads them. The Nazis killed his entire family. He obtains poison from a chemist. April 1946. His team infiltrates a bakery supplying bread to an SS prisoner camp. They paint poison on 3,000 loaves. 2,000 SS men fall sick. None die. The poison wasn't concentrated enough. Kovner flees to Palestine, but his message echoes. Survivors aren't just victims anymore. The Soviets see opportunity. They secretly fund survivor groups, share intelligence, provide weapons. An underground network forms from Moscow to Munich to Buenos Aires. Information flows through hidden channels. Helena works as a secretary in Hamburg. She seems like a war widow. She's a Soviet agent. One day, she sees her former guard buying groceries, the same man who murdered her baby. She follows him home. That night, Soviet agents knock on his door. He's never seen again. Stalin dies. The KGB replaces Smersh. The Cold War freezes Europe in two. But the hunt continues. It just gets more complicated. The KGB discovers something useful. SS officers make excellent double agents. They're already living fake lives. They're terrified of exposure. Perfect for blackmail. Eduard Roschmann murdered 35,000 Jews in Riga. The Soviets find him in Austria working for American intelligence. They give him a choice. Work for us, or we tell everyone who you really are, including the Israelis. Roschmann chooses to live. He becomes a triple agent. Feeds Americans fake intelligence. Tells Soviets about CIA operations. Helps track down other SS officers. All to save his own skin. East Germany creates the Stasi in 1950. Their surveillance network becomes the most complete in history. 1 in 3 East Germans spies on neighbors. Every letter opened. Every phone call recorded. Every visitor photographed. Markus Wolf runs Stasi Foreign Intelligence. His agents infiltrate West German government. They discover something shocking. Hans Globke, advisor to the West German chancellor, wrote the legal commentary for Hitler's race laws. He helped design the Holocaust's legal framework. The Soviets turn this into propaganda gold. They publish Globke's Nazi documents worldwide. The message is clear. The West protects war criminals. The East brings justice. But the biggest propaganda victory comes with Klaus Barbie, the butcher of Lyon. He tortured and killed thousands of French resistance fighters. He personally murdered Jewish children. The Americans hire him to hunt communists in Bolivia. They pay him with taxpayer money. They know exactly who he is. 1971. The KGB leaks Barbie's location and American protection to French journalists. The scandal explodes. The Americans are humiliated. The Soviets score a massive victory without firing a shot. The hunt becomes more than justice. It's a weapon in the Cold War. Every exposed Nazi in the West damages American credibility. Every captured SS man in the East proves communist superiority. The real challenge isn't Europe anymore. It's 7,000 miles away in South America. Juan Perón loves Germans. His Argentina welcomes 10,000 Nazis. They receive new identities, government jobs, police protection. They build German schools, German hospitals, German neighborhoods where Spanish is never spoken. Josef Mengele lives openly in Buenos Aires. Uses his real name. Listed in the phone book. The angel of death who experimented on twins at Auschwitz now practices medicine again. The Soviets can't invade Argentina. But they have communist parties throughout South America. They turn local communists into spy networks. Miguel Santos drives a taxi in Buenos Aires. He's also a Communist Party member. Now, he's a Soviet asset. He drives through German neighborhoods. Photographs license plates. Records addresses. Notes routines. Who leaves for work when? Who meets whom? Which children attend which schools? 1960. Santos spots something interesting. A bland man named Ricardo Clement never has visitors. Never goes to German clubs. Never drinks in German bars. Too careful for a normal immigrant. Santos reports to his handler. The handler cables Moscow. Moscow checks their files. Ricardo Clement matches the description of Adolf Eichmann. The Soviets face a choice. Grab Eichmann themselves or let others know. They choose to leak the information to Mossad. Why? Because an Israeli kidnapping in Argentina will damage U.S.-Argentine relations. The Soviets win either way, but not every hunt goes smoothly. Paraguay's dictator, Alfredo Stroessner, actively protects Nazis. He gives them ranches, government contracts, new identities whenever needed. Soviet agent Viktor Kosov infiltrates Stroessner's government. Spends 3 years as a forestry inspector. Maps Nazi colonies. Identifies 67 SS officers. He's 2 days from extraction when someone betrays him. They find Kosov's body in a river. His fingernails are missing. His handler receives Kosov's final report, written in invisible ink on a cigarette pack. Mengele left for Brazil. Following. The Soviets and Israelis sometimes cooperate, sometimes compete. Often they ruin each other's operations. São Paulo. Soviet agents track Mengele to a pharmacy. They're ready to grab him. But Mossad is also watching. The two teams spot each other. In the confusion, someone alerts Mengele. He vanishes. Both teams blame each other. Mengele dies in 1979, swimming at a beach. He drowns alone. No justice, no trial. Just an old Nazi dying of a stroke in warm water. Both the Soviets and Israelis tracked him for 34 years. Neither got him. The 1970s bring computers. Everything changes. Before, the Soviets kept paper files. Millions of them. Finding one name took weeks. Now they digitize everything. 20 million documents. Every SS member. Every sighting. Every alias. Every contact. Search time drops from weeks to seconds. They share data with unlikely partners. The Simon Wiesenthal Center in Los Angeles. Jewish documentation centers in Paris. Even some CIA officers who hate Nazis more than communists. Results are immediate. Johann Voss, former SS guard at Mauthausen, lived quietly in Cleveland for 25 years. The computer links his immigration papers to his SS file. He's deported to Germany in 1978. Dies in prison. Gustav Wagner, Sobibor's deputy commander, hid in Brazil since 1950. The computer connects witness testimonies to recent photos. Brazilian police arrest him in 1980. He dies before trial. Some say suicide, others say Mossad. But the biggest breakthrough comes from an unexpected source. The Berlin Wall falls. Suddenly the Stasi's files are available. 14,000 garbage bags of shredded documents, 600 million pieces of paper, but also intact files on 12,000 SS officers the West never knew about. Karl Linnaeus ran a concentration camp in Estonia. He personally shot Jews into ditches. He's been living in Long Island, New York since 1951, working as a land surveyor, attending church, raising grandchildren. The opened files prove everything. The Americans can't ignore it. They deport him to the Soviet Union in 1987. He's the last Nazi the Soviets ever try. He dies in prison 2 months later, insisting he's innocent. The Soviet Union collapses in 1991. The KGB becomes the FSB. Russia inherits the files. The hunt officially ends. Or does it? 70 years. 3 generations of hunters. 250,000 names on the original list. The Soviets captured thousands, executed hundreds, turned dozens into double agents, exposed Western hypocrisy, used Nazi hunting as Cold War weapon. But here's the bitter truth. Most SS men died free. They became grandfathers, respected citizens. They went to church. They forgot what they did, or pretended to. In a dusty Moscow basement, filing cabinets hold yellowing folders. Names never crossed off. Faces never found. Crimes never punished. The last Soviet agent who worked these cases died in 2012. He was 93. He kept searching until the end. Today, historians estimate fewer than 10 SS war criminals are still alive. All over 95. All beyond justice. But their files remain open. Somewhere in Russia, in Israel, in Germany, someone still watches. Still waits. Because some hunts never end. They just pass to the next generation. 70 years after the war ended, a researcher in Moscow opens a file. Case number 84726. SS Obersturmführer Heinrich Müller. Last confirmed sighting. Buenos Aires, 1962. Current status unknown. The researcher adds a note. New lead from São Paulo phone records. The file goes back in the cabinet. Still open. If you enjoyed this story, hit subscribe for more fascinating World War II historical deep dives every week. Thanks for watching.